What up, guys? The Bench Buddies are back with our Week 5 NFL picks and previews. As always, I have Ethan joining me to break it
Right
down
on.
this week's games. But before we get into it, subscribe to the channel, get us to 500, where we'll be doing
Absolutely.
that giveaway. But we'll jump in to Week Three's picks because we didn't do our video last week. You can see there I beat Ethan by one game in Week 3, but that's irrelevant now because Week 4 already happened, and then Ethan got me back in this one. But before we start our Week 5 picks, which Week 4 game stood out to you the most?
Well, in this week, there's a slate of games where a lot of them were blowouts, including Pittsburgh getting blown out and the Bengals getting blown out and the Giants and there's a lot of teams, the Patriots as well. I'd say got to give credit to those Commanders and keep on fighting against Philadelphia. Ended up losing, but that was a great game to watch.
For me, I'm going to go with the Chargers and Raiders game. Probably wasn't a popular opinion, but if Khalil Mack didn't have 6 sacks, I really don't think they win this game. The weapons they have, and they still are struggling to get wins, even when they're playing backup quarterbacks. So there's some cause for concern there for the Chargers. But we got to talk about our week 3 bets, 3-2, just another okay week. Any week we have positive, it's good. So we'll jump to this week and what we got. So we're both 6-4. Then you can see my picks there. I think the one I'll talk about here is the Houston and Atlanta under. I think Houston's going to fall back down to earth after putting up 30 on Pittsburgh. Atlanta's been struggling to score the ball the last 2 weeks. And I think Houston's going to win this one, but I think it'll be like a 20-14 game. So I can see that under hitting.
Yeah, and you can also see my picks on the right side of the screen. I'm going to talk about the Chiefs only being favored by 3 points at the Vikings. I think that's crazy. I think the Chiefs a very explosive offense. The Vikings haven't shown that they can stop an explosive offense as well. They can't score as many points. So Chiefs only being favored by 3, that's a lock for me all day.
And then here's all the teams on the bye. You got 4 as the bye week start here in week 5. Seahawks, Bucks looked great so far, while the Browns and Chargers are, just coasting by here. But do you have anything you want to add?
Yeah, so the Seahawks, great win on Monday Night Football. That was a statement win over the Giants. Really just beat them in all phases of football. And those guys are going to compete. So shout out to them and a really good start. I was along with the Broncos, or not the Broncos, the Browns and the Buccaneers as well. And then obviously the Chargers, not a great start, but early bye. Hopefully they can get it going for next week.
And then we'll jump into Thursday night football. And currently we're making this video at halftime where the Bears are up 27-3. So not much to be said here about this game as we're pretty
All
much
right.
going to start 0-1 here. But hey, for the Bears fans, they get their first win. So we'll just jump
Yeah.
straight to Sunday morning. Let's just get it out of the way. We don't want to talk about it. So we're already starting different here. I'm going with the Jaguars upsetting the Bills, and this is one of my bigger upsets of the week. I just think Jacksonville, they've already played in London once this year and they've stayed there this whole time because they're not going to fly back from London to practice for a few days just to fly back. So they have that advantage for them. And Jacksonville, they play well in London. I know that they send their team and ship them off, it feels like every year to London. And it's home away from home. I think the Jaguars get it done against the Bills on the road.
I'm with the Bills. I'm on the Bills side here. I think all that talk about the traveling and the time zone difference, I think that's just a smokescreen. The Bills are a better team. Starting out 3-1, and that defense after week 1, that defense is looking stout. And the Jags really haven't looked good. Even last week in the victory over the Falcons, didn't really seem to put it together on offense. And they were going up against the JV quarterback and Desmond Ritter. So I think going up against Josh Allen, this is just a tough matchup, and I got to take the Bills here.
Then moving to the 1 o'clock games. I'm taking those Texans and CJ Stroud movement is on in Houston. D'Amico Ryans his head coach. He is a player's coach. They're all rallying behind him. And this Texans team is tied for first after week 4 in the AFC South, along with every other team. And I wouldn't have believed you if you would have told me that after week 4. So these Texans are doing something right here, building a new foundation. And I'm going with them to get to 3-2 with a winning record.
Yeah, and that's a pretty solid pick. This is about a 50-50 for me. An AFC team coming down NFC into an NFC stadium opponent. They are pretty close, but I'm gonna take the Falcons at the home field advantage. I know I just said Desmond Ritter's a JV quarterback, but they got Bijan, and that defense is pretty good. Yeah, I think the Texans look really good, obviously, last week, and I'm not going to talk about that anymore. So I'm going to take the Falcons here.
And then we have Panthers and Lions, and let's just get straight to it here. The Lions should beat down on the Panthers. I still can't get over the fact that it is the Lions, and until they
Yeah.
make the playoffs and win some playoff games or win the division even, I still got to believe these Lions can collapse at any moment. And I'm going to take the Panthers spread here. I would take the 10 points just because I think that Bryce Young and company can play some good football as long as he doesn't turn it over. And I'm still going with the Lions outright, obviously, because they have too many weapons. And getting JMO back this week obviously helps too. So give me the Lions at home.
Give me the Lions as well. 10-point spread. I think I'm with you on the Panthers side of that spread, though, because that's a lot of points for a team that you said you can't really, you never know if they're going to collapse. Sorry to the Detroit fans, but this is a game they definitely should win. Not much pressure. So give me the Lions.
And then a battle of the AFC South in a big game in week 5. As I mentioned earlier, all the teams are tied for first. And we're both going with the Colts here. I'm just going with the Colts. They are more consistent, I want to say, so far this year. The Titans have got blown out, and then obviously last week blew out the Bengals at home. So as long as Richardson doesn't have any turnovers and Jonathan Taylor's projected to play in this one, and if he does play, I'm sure he's going to get probably 10 touches and make an impact somehow. So I got to go with the Colts here.
Yeah, I agree. I think the Colts are just a better football team, more consistent, and they just getting JT back is going to help a lot. The Titans, other than last week, haven't gotten anything going really. So got to give me the Colts here. They've actually had a pretty good season for what we all thought the Colts were going to be this year. So you got to give your props to them, and I think they're going to win this game at home. Indianapolis is electric.
And not much to be said about this one as the Dolphins are looking to rebound after a tough loss to Buffalo. Same with the Giants with their tough loss to Seattle. But Miami, I think, could put up 40 easily in this game. And I think they're going to at least put up 30. And the Giants, well, they can't score at all. So this is a pretty easy pick for me.
Yeah, definitely as well. I'm going to take the Dolphins, and I'm also going to be betting that minus 12 because that's nothing. I think the Dolphins can score another 50 piece this game, and the Giants aren't scoring any more than 13 points against the Dolphins defense. So give me the Dolphins at home.
And then what should be a good game that's going to be flying under the radar because these Patriots need to win. Saints, they need to get back on track here with Derek Carr after losing 2 straight now. And I think they're going to get it done on the road. And Belichick could possibly be on the hot seat when it's all said and done in a few more games going into the end of the year if, things are projecting to how they should be right now.
Yeah, I actually really like the Saints pick at +1 because this is going to be a physical football game. I mean, you've seen that Saints defense is nasty, and that Patriots defense. Bill Belichick's always going to bring the heat there. So those matchups, this is going to be a defensive game. That line's 39.5. Might take the under there too. Just it's going to be a defensive battle, and I think the team with a better quarterback is going to figure it out in the end, and it's going to be a duel. But I'm going to take the Saints.
And then we got your Steelers here in a
Yeah,
big
of
game
course.
to decide the AFC North already this early in the
I
year.
wouldn't say that.
I mean it's just tough because they if the Ravens get this, they're already 2 wins ahead of the Steelers, yada yada, and they get to play the Steelers at home next time. And I think the Ravens are going to go on the road here and win this one. It's kind of tough to pick against the Steelers, but until they can figure out a run game, I just can't really rely on a good pick unless they play a lower class team. So I got to go with the Ravens here as they're expected to get Odell back as well this week.
Yeah, I'm gonna take the Steelers in this one, and it's obviously a coin flip. These games are all gonna be close, but I'm gonna take the Steelers at home. The defense is gonna ball out. I already know they're gonna ball out at home against Lamar. They always do. So if you got Steelers defenses in fantasy, might want to play them here. But I think TJ Watt's gonna have a massive game. It's gonna be just enough. It's gonna be one of those 23-21 games, and it's gonna be a great game for this 1 o'clock slate.
Then moving to 4, you're going with a huge upset here. Take
Yeah.
the Cardinals. I'm going with the Bengals on the road. They got to get back on track, and I just feel like this is a must-win game for them.
Yeah, they definitely got to get back on track, but I don't think it's going to happen here. Cardinals have just been a better team this year. I mean, the Bengals struggled to get it going in three of the, out of their four, actually all of their games. They barely won the week four, but I'm gonna take the Cardinals here because they've just been playing better football, and I'm on that Josh Dobbs hype train, baby. Let's ride.
And then you got the Rams and Eagles, and I think this game is going to be better than a lot of people think. The Rams have been playing some good football, but when they lost, obviously, to the Bengals, they just didn't show up and so forth. But if Cooper Kupp is going to play this weekend, I know he's practicing, but if he does play, then this Rams team might be tough to stop. And him and Puka is going to be a deadly duo. But I think somehow, some way, Eagles find ways to win games like this and they get it done. And I think it's going to be on DeAndre Swift. I think he's going to have a good game.
Yeah, I disagree here. I think the Rams at home, they're on upset alert here. The Eagles are on upset alert. The Rams have been playing good football in almost all their games. Eagles haven't looked great for being 4-0, and I think this is the spot where if they get a little pressure on them, and the Rams are going to put pressure on you. If they get a little pressure on them, I think they could end up falling here on the road in LA.
And at 425 in what should have been a big matchup in week 5 after all the preseason slander about these two teams and how these two teams are going to be so good. And here they both are at 1-3. Russ is starting to play better. Zach Wilson's the quarterback of the Jets, so we don't even get to see the Rodgers, play in this one. But if Wilson can play exactly like he did last week against the Chiefs, there's no doubt in my mind the Jets win this game. They have a better defense. They have, I think, way more skill players on the field. It's just tough to see this Broncos team win games just because of what we're used to seeing here in the last few years, where they need to win these games, but they just can't get it done.
Yeah, and at first I had the Broncos as well, and to what you said there, I agree, and that's why I switched my pick to the Jets. They just can't. They just don't seem to win games that they feel like they should, like they used to before the last 2 years, basically this year and last year. So I think the Jets are going to win on the road. It's going to be, let's go Jets. The Jets defense is going to go crazy, and Zach Wilson is going to have a pretty good game.
And you got Chiefs and Vikings here to wrap up the 4 o'clock slate. Chiefs on the road here. I think they cover that as well. Travis Kelce's going to have a big day. Vikings linebackers are going to have a tough time trying to find out where Kelce's moving all through the offense, but Pacheco is going to be the key to success yet again in this one. If they can keep running the ball how they have the last 2 games, this Kansas City offense is going to be tough to stop. And they totaled over 200 rushing yards in the first time, and feels like the Mahomes era just because they air it out so much. But the Vikings, they need this game. It's a must win to stay afloat in the NFC North and possibly to keep Kirk Cousins on this team before the trade deadline.
Yeah, I don't like this. I don't like the Vikings, this matchup for the Vikings. Chiefs are just they're power running and they can just bully. I think they're just gonna bully the Vikings all day long. Taking the Chiefs on the road.
Then at 8:20, I don't want to say this is a must-win game for the Cowboys, but it just feels that way. Just because the last 2 postseasons, they've got eliminated to the 49ers, one at home, one at San Francisco. And this has just been the thorn in Dallas's side these last few years, not being able to move on and pretty much feels like get to an NFC championship or possibly a Super Bowl just because of these Niners and the history that they've had in the 70s, 80s, 90s, 2000s, just leading up to this moment. It's a big regular season game, but with all that being said and done, Christian McCaffrey is a cheat code. That's all you need to know. So I'm going with the Niners.
Yeah, I totally agree, man. I think the Niners are gonna win at home. It's gonna be daunting on the Cowboys. They're gonna just be hanging over their head all year. That the Niners, they just can't beat the Niners. Definitely got to take the Niners here. Just a better team so far. But I am really excited for this game on Sunday night. It's going to be a really good game to watch, along with those MLB postseason games this weekend.
Then on Monday, you got my Packers going on the road with the Raiders. And if my Packers don't win this one, then they're going in the bye week with a losing record. And that would not be ideal for me as a fan. So I can't have that happen. But I think this is the game where Jordan Love really breaks out and puts up some big numbers here. He's kind of due after that big week 1 performance to really step it up and put him back on the board. And Jones is healthy. Watson's healthy. The whole team's finally healthy besides Bakhtiari. And they get a win here, a big road win. then they're going to go into the bye with that little momentum coming out of the bye that, they feel like they can beat anybody.
Yeah, I do agree with the pick of the Packers. I like that pick. I think they're gonna go on the road here. Just gonna play physical football against the Raiders, and I don't think their offense is gonna play as good as you think. I get it. I think the Packers are just gonna play really solid defense and score enough points to win. And I think Jordan Love's gonna have a consistent game. Nothing crazy, but just a solid overall performance from Jordan Love.
And that's going to be it for this week's picks and previews of week 5 NFL games. Come back next week to see who we're taking in week 6 and how we did for this week's picks. But until the next time, the Bench Buddies are out.